John Cordy, and I feel most comfortable in corduroy trousers, though often you'll see me in tracksuit bottoms or jeans if I'm leaving the house, obviously. So I'm probably not going to crouch down like this for the whole video, but I did want to show you some stuff that I've been doing with the new 2.9 firmware. Normally I'm a bit of a slow adopter of this stuff, but I've been messing around with a couple of things and there's a few features that I really like. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was that in the new command center mode, if you press this mode switch, so we're in normal kind of territory here. The way that I have my Helix set up is that I have stomps across the top and snapshots across the bottom, generally. So I might have like a clean snapshot here, a lead snapshot here, and a rhythm snapshot here. But it turns out that if you press mode quickly, you get into this other mode. And what I've done is that I've gone to global settings, and I've set stomp mode to 10 switches so that I can use these two here. And then also what I've done is, if you go into command center, basically you've got these new, I think they're new, I've never tried it before, but I saw Steve Stellaci's video on this stuff and I thought, yeah, that does sound useful. So the things that I've done is, if you go across to these foot switches, if you go all the way to the right on command, you can set these pedals to be like a shortcut to another preset. So I've got 3 presets together, and on each of them I can click to the next preset. So you go basically command, so select the foot switch that you want with the toggle switch. If you roll all the way to the end of command, you get HX preset, and then you can select which preset you want it to be. So I think I wanted it to be 6B, which is super useful, I think. So you could be in stomp mode, and also you could switch to other presets, which I think is useful. And then the other thing was that I prefer, or I know how to use better, I should say, the one switch looper. However, the one function that doesn't have that I would like to have is reverse. So if you go down to whichever pedal you want to use, now you can go right to the end of the list of commands, you get HX looper, and the way I've got it set up is press hold. So press I have set to reverse, I think I have press and release I have set to forward, so that when I press down reverse, basically I get a reverse of the looper, whatever the loop is playing. So I'll just show you that. So that's, for me, really useful, because that was one of the things that I was using the 6-button looper for, but I hadn't really worked out how to clear a loop effectively, and all that sort of stuff. So that, for me, does the job. And I could also be in this mode and set up my 3 usual snapshots here if I wanted to, because, again, if we go into command center, I could go over to here and I could say HX snapshot, and then you can select which snapshots you get. So that's super cool as well, and you could set it to do different things if you hold or whatever. So that's one thing that I've been trying with the new stuff. So if I just come out of here a sec, another cool thing is that I noticed basically what this preset is doing is that I've got my usual kind of freeze expression pedal stuff happening. So if I just stop the loop, I can freeze a note if I want. So I can freeze that note, and that I can trigger on and off with this freeze button. So that's kind of cool. But the other thing is that if I put a few of these presets next to each other, if I'm playing a loop, that will maintain, which is kind of cool. The only issue at the moment is I've got the loop in a slightly different place in the chain in this particular one. So the thing is that this loop is maintained throughout these preset changes, which is kind of cool. And I think the way to achieve that is to put the loop on the same path for every preset. But these presets are all pretty much the same setup for me. I've just got different drive pedals on each. So that's kind of a cool thing that I've been playing around with. The other thing that I've been playing around with is the dynamic split. Now, this is a new feature, I think. Actually, yeah, this is a new feature. But the way I've been using it is, so if I just demonstrate this a second, when I'm starting to play and really dig into something with like a wet reverb sound, I'm starting to get a little bit, that's kind of getting in the way a little bit, some of the bloom that's happening. So I decided that this might be a way that I could use the dynamic split. So what I've done is I've set it up so that there's a parallel path which has a compressor on it, and then on the normal path I've got the delay, or the glitz reverb, which is delay and reverb basically together. And what I'm doing is that I've set the threshold so that when I really dig in, that's mostly getting routed through the compressor instead of just setting off this massive kind of attack on the reverb. So let's just have a listen to that, I guess. So here's without. So I'll just set the decay and the attack a bit differently. So I'm going to have a mess around with that as an idea, but anyway, so those are some of the weird things that I could set around that dynamic split. I need to experiment with that a bit more. But that's the way I think that it might be possible to experiment with having some kind of cool delay sounds that don't necessarily get in the way of the lead playing. So I'm going to experiment with that a bit more. But I think that's a really cool kind of flexible and super useful but also different way of using reverb and delay and dynamic splits that I've never really heard anything else doing before, and I think that might be a way to get some interesting sounds like the Helix. So I'm going to drop in some playing now. Hope this has been somewhat interesting, maybe slightly useful even, but let me know if there's sort of stuff you want me to try out with the Helix or HX Stomp. This is just what I'm using the 2.9 updates for right now. So this switching within Stomp mode to other presets, and sticking the reverse button for a 1-button looper on the face of the Helix so that I don't have to use the 6-button looper. I can use the normal kind of ditto style looper that I'm used to. just add a reverse button to it, which is opening up a whole bunch of different kind of ways for me to try and be creative. And then the last thing that I'm trying to do is use the dynamic split to maybe get some heavier reverb tones, but when I'm digging in and playing harder, they're not taking over the entire sound. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So hopefully that's useful, and I'll catch you soon.